Fibertown. My name is Emily. If you are new or if you're returning, I feel like I should re-greet everybody. I'm out of practice, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and I had a little glimmer of wanting to pop on the screen and chat to all you good folks about what I've been making. And I don't want you to think that I did a holiday December vlog thing and it broke my podcast, because it could look like that. And I can understand why that could happen. But no, I really enjoyed doing that vlog series, which was the last thing I put up on this channel. It was last year. I super enjoyed it. I never thought I would. I did a lot of sort of expanding my horizons with editing, and it was good fun. Then January in the United States of America happened. Okay, I was interrupted by a 7th grader in search of graph paper. I have knitter's graph paper, which I've never really used, but I have it. Anyway, then I told him about that and he said, wait, I have graph paper. Anyway, so yeah, January, and this whole situation of being at home with my family 24/7, 365. Never thought I'd say those numbers, but here we are. I am full of privilege and I'm not complaining. I'm just ranting a little because I'm a human being. So, however, you know, this is a bright spot. Let me share with you what I've been making. And I think that I'm just gonna chat about it a little bit, and then intersperse some videos and do some voiceover talks about them. Or maybe this will be the voiceover. I don't know. All right, so what am I wearing? I'm wearing my Rauma Finial Garn vanilla sweater, a pattern by Corinne Tomlinson of the Woolly Thistle. I think I did do some adaptations, but honestly, I cannot remember. I did sort of a moss stitch and a moss stitch split hem here as well. And what else did I do? I did moss stitch / I-cord bind off for the neck. I have 2 of these now. I finished 2. You may remember that I was also knitting a Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the Long Johns colorway, and I'll show that off as well. It's a great pattern. It's a really great pattern. These sleeves could be a little longer. I'm wearing a merino jersey top that I sewed underneath for like maximum February warmth because it's cold around here. So I got 2 sweaters. I'll pop the other one in here. This is the Brooklyn Tweed Loft one. Hot mess of a video. So the Brooklyn Tweed Loft one, maybe I'll model it for you because it moves super well on and it has these amazing long cuffs. And I did a broken garter rib, the same stitch that's on my leather socks I put on the finishings for that sweater. I've basically been wearing them alternating almost constantly. All right, so those are my 2 vanilla sweaters, both of them completed. I also knit a pair of Zauberball socks. I did 2x2 rib on my usual 64 stitches, not thinking that they'd be a lot stretchier than the typical stockinette. Therefore, guess what? They didn't fit me. They were way too big. My husband gleefully took them off my hands, and I was ticked off, but I thought that it would sort of allow me to make a purchase of Knit Spin Farm, a pre-order of her Corriedale nylon sock in the Cherry Blossom Festival colorway, and that is a DC iconic event, I shall say. So I love this sock yarn. I love it, I love it, I love it. I've already put in a second pre-order for some colorway that has whiskey in the title, and it's blues and browns and looks right up my alley. So that's the sock thing. Oh, I was also given this sock kit, let me show it off, by an amazing viewer who said, hey, I've got an extra one of these vintage Argyle sock kits. Do you want it? I got them on eBay. and I have had zero bandwidth to break into it, but I cannot thank you enough. I'm gonna put her name down here if she agrees. And yeah, this is the kit. It's on my piano and I walk by it every day and I'm like, I should break into that, but I haven't yet. So what else can I tell you about? Oh, my socks. I got this idea that I should needle felt bare spots in my socks, and that I should even needle felt holes. So what I'm doing is I'm turning them inside out and slipping in a clean dry sponge into the sock, and then I purloined some felting needles from my friend Sarah, and yeah, I just kind of stab away at these things, and it's nice, good therapy as well, just to do some stabbing. Highly recommend. So far so good. I'm getting at least 3 extra wears out of these. You can also, I would think, needle felt on the outside of the sock, but I think it's just a lot less visible. And it kind of, if you do it on the inside, and it reminds me of thrummed mittens, but that's on the inside. So I just took, I should explain the fiber I used. I used some washed but unprocessed Hog Island fleece, and just sort of tore it apart and felted it with the felting needle. What else can I tell you about? Oh, my toad. Okay, so I knit Frog and Toad. Well, actually I've only knit Toad, and here he is. He's been knit out of Blacker Yarn Scotland DK, and I adore him. Such an amazingly written pattern. Sorry, my husband just texted. You like that? Do we need eggs? Probably. Anyway, yes, so Toad. I just love him. I have not knit his clothes. He's still desnudo, and I can't wait to knit his clothes. They're going to be made out of Jamieson's of Shetland, Jamieson and Smith, some variety thereof, maybe some Hebridean yarn as well for virtual yarns. I have a lot of scraps. And then I need to knit his life partner, Frog. However, this is all I have left of the Blacker Yarn DK. I believe this is the Fog colorway, and it's only half of what I need. So this is an S.O.S. Does anyone out there have the Blacker Yarns, the green, the Blacker Gotland DK in the green, which I think is called Fog? Correct me if I'm wrong. I just think the aesthetic would be perfection. I have some other options, but they're just not as good as the sort of matched set, because the Gotland is gray and then it's over dyed. They get the depth of color is very rich, yet grungy. And yeah, all the colors of that line, which is sadly not available, are incredibly, it's like a grungy rainbow. And everything, every stash, it's not stashed very much on Ravelry, and those who have stashed it have labeled as will not sell or trade. I could bother them, but I feel weird about it. But if I don't get any bites here, then I might resort to that, because I'm on hold with my Frog and Toad project. So let's see, what else can I tell you about? Oh yes, my Radari sweater. I've cast on the Radari out of Let Lopi that I got years ago at my local yarn store, Looped in DuPont Circle in Washington, DC. Love Looped, I miss it so much. Anyway, so I'm knitting with this yarn, and I've basically copied the colorways from some I've seen on Ravelry. It's a rusty body with charcoals and grays and maybe a white or a cream. So I'm loving that. Yeah, it's bottom up. I think I'm doing a medium. I'm hoping it's gonna be big enough. I'm really liking oversized sweaters right now. So that is on the go. It's not getting a ton of attention right now. I made some Bernie mitts. Yes, I did. I got a holiday card from a very good friend. I would show you the card here. I happen to have it. Here. There he is. That's not, but he's wearing a hat that I knit him years ago out of some Jacob fleece. And I saw the card, and like any knitter worth their salt, I said, you are wearing a hat I made. That means you are knit worthy. Do you want anything? Can I knit you something? Because there's nothing as motivating for a capital K knitter is having someone who is not in your immediate circle. That's also good. But someone outside of it who's knitworthy, yes. So he's like, no, of course. This guy, like the least, yeah. He's the guy who will help you move, right? He will not ask for anything. And then he asked for something. And he asked for, he said, well, Bernie mitts are pretty cool. So into action I went. I used the Ann Budd Knitter Handy book of knitting patterns and a chart from the internet, and I made some Bernie mitts, and I'm going to put a picture here of the mitts and a picture of him wearing them when he got them. He lives in Pennsylvania. It's cold, and I'm thrilled that he loves them. And I actually said, well, don't you think fingerless mitts would be more practical? And he said, wait, no. He thought fingerless mitts were gloves for some reason. I'm like, those have fingers. So I sent him like a picture of an example picture, and I don't think he still really got it, but then he said, sure, you know best. Just not demanding. And then he said later, oh my gosh, you were right. These are so practical. He has a very demanding job, and he's in constant communication with an entire university as the head of IT. So I'm like, you need fingerless mitts, you're gonna be on your phone or device constantly, flying drones, helping, professors make movies. So yeah, fingerless mitts. I was thrilled about that. Speaking of other gifts, I have woven several scarves, two scarves, several, may not be accurate, but I have woven some scarves. One out of handspun, and another out of some Miss Babs. I love weaving with them. Oh, two, actually, I gifted a second Miss Babs scarf that was just sort of in a gift bin to a third teacher. But here are some of those scarves. Miss Babs weaves up beautifully. I don't really love knitting with it. Honestly, if it's not garter stitch, it can end up looking pretty funky. If you have some and you can weave, I recommend it. And the sun just went in, so the lighting's a bit odd. Oh well. What else can I tell you about? There's another text. Anyway, spinning. I finally finished I have another knitting thing to talk about, but let me talk about the spinning. My Perrindale cross lamb fleece is all carded up. I have some skeins of it already spun. I think I've showed it here already, but I've got all the little bats. I've got some singles going, a couple of bobbins of singles, got some things already plied. So yeah, that's a work in progress. And I think the next thing I'm going to card is the white fleece from a Jacob fleece I have. And then I'm going to turn my drum carder over to darker wools, right? Because then I can clean all the white stuff out and really focus on the darker wools, because I have 3 dark fleeces, including one really dark one. So that's sort of the plan for spinning. Oh, so let me show you. I'm gonna actually show you the Ralph sweater here because I have it next to me. So it's from the Vintage Shetland book by Susan Crawford. And, optimistic Emily was like, I'm gonna be wearing this by the new year. It's gonna be great. Emily's gonna be wearing this winter 21-22. But I have all 3 steeks in, so I'm really in the home stretch here. And I've taken, this is a Elizabeth Zimmerman or Meg Swanson tip where you take a spare circular needle and weave it through the hem, and you make a little bag. So the Ralph sweater is a sweater with a beautiful story. I've told it before, but isn't it gorgeous? I love it. I'm knitting an oversized version, like the 5th size, at least for under the arms. And then I have had to use the schematic to really make some on the fly decisions about where to put steeks and how long to knit from the underarm to the shoulders. So I'm following the chart, but I'm stopping at different points along the way, and it's pointless to explain why unless you are knitting the exact same sweater I am. But yeah, so there's one arm size steek. There's the steeky stitches. And then, of course, on the other side, there's the same one. And yes, it is an equal amount of stitches. And there is the steek for the V-neck. Now every time I put in steeks, I know theoretically how it works, but it always still blows my mind. And that's a good thing. That's fine with me. So yeah, decreases have happened. I've actually also done a few extra decreases towards the top back, so that things aren't gigantor when they get to the shoulders. Still gonna be big enough. Yeah, so you don't have to do any of that crazy, it's not asking you to do back, purling Fair Isle, Fair Isle in the flat. Thank you, that's what I wanted to say. But, don't know who I was thinking there, my own brain. Anyway, you basically stop at a certain point, cast off the steek stitches, and graft. You graft both sides together. So that's pretty cool. And then you cut the armhole steeks, pick up and knit the sleeves down, which is gonna be, ooh, emails. Oh, I've got a session in 15 minutes. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of challenging sleeve knitting attached to the body, but it will also be smaller circumference, which is faster, but then lots of colors in a small circumference is a pain in the tuchus. But look at that, look at that. Jamieson's of Shetland, Jamieson and Smith and Jamieson's of Shetland. That's the Ralph sweater. One last thing to talk about. Two things actually. My Marshma, the sewing kit I made with my Sarah friends, a couple of my Sarah friends, inspired by Sarah Fibertrex work. Here it is. It was a project I didn't want to end. And I'm using it as a visual reminder of a lot of things that are important to me and that I need to keep in the forefront of my mind. And I love it. I've used it a lot already. It is a treasure, an absolute treasure. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for this. Okay, so last thing to share with you is just a little bit of sewing. And there might be some acquisitions I could talk about too. There's one behind me. Anyway, sewing mojo. I don't know where it's gone. I kind of see it on the horizon now because I've bought some fabrics. Yes. I want to make some black silk calder pants, and I cut out the pattern this weekend, traced and cut, because I'm team trace. And also, it's a pattern by Cashmerette. They're awesome. It's just flowing, elegant trousers with an elastic back and a flat waistband front. So that's, and I have the fabric ready to go. I've had some repetitive stress, maybe a pinched nerve in this shoulder, so I don't know if I should iron the fabric and give this a go. I've had to sort of cut down on my knitting of the Ralph in particular. But as soon as that is healed up, I think I'm gonna go forward with that. And then I have some yarn coming from the Woolly Thistle, and like I said, more fabric, but this is the first fabric to arrive. Yeah, I am thrilled. So you might have seen this beautiful taupe and red poppies that Stone Mountain Fabrics has had. Anyway, I subscribed to Miss Matatabi, and they had the same range, and that red poppies one was already sold out 2 hours after the email went out. But this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm guessing this must be a 4, you know how they weigh linen? Is it grams? Something grams per something. It's like a grist for linen. And 5 is an all-purpose weight. I think this is slightly thinner than a 5. I could probably find out. But it's just silky and lovely. And, it's opaque enough against the body to just be any number of things. I think I have 3 meters. And it's pretty narrow. I think it's 43 or 44 inches wide. I was originally thinking a very simple pair of trousers, like linen summer trousers, but I really think given the drape of this, I'm gonna make something like a Roscoe blouse by True Bias. Something flowy for the top. I hope you've enjoyed this very quick catch up with my crafting life. I hope that your crafting life is a comfort to you and that you are well. Take care.